Egyptians believed the most significant thing was to preserve the body after death. Let's start by saying they were not wrong. But if we want to understand how and why they did it, we need to go deeper than just their love for their pharaohs or their weird obsession with cats. The preservation of the body was only the tip of the iceberg. It was an act rooted in a worldview so profound and intricate that it continues to both mystify and influence us even today. To truly appreciate this, we must look at two concepts. The first is the concept of Ka, which could be described as a soul or life force. The second is Ma'at, which refers to truth, justice, and cosmic order. So let's explore each one. The ancient Egyptians had a deep fascination with the cosmos, believing that its cycles mirrored and influenced life on Earth. In fact, many of their religious practices were directly tied to astronomical events, such as the annual flooding of the Nile, which was linked to the heliacal rising of the dog star Sirius, and predicted the Nile's yearly inundation, a key part of their agricultural cycle. They constructed massive monuments like the pyramids and temples to align with cardinal directions and important stars, demonstrating their belief in a harmonious relationship between earthly and celestial existence. For instance, the Pyramid of Khufu aligns with the constellation of the Big Dipper. The Sphinx's paws point towards the rising sun during the equinoxes, while other pyramids have internal passages that seem to converge towards Orion's belt. These are just some examples. There are many others. The ancient Egyptians believed that maintaining balance and order, the universe was crucial for the well-being of humanity and the continuation of life. This concept was embodied in the goddess Manat, who personified truth, justice, and cosmic order. Her image, often depicted with a feather on her head, served as a symbol of the correct path to be followed. Even the pharaohs were considered the embodiment of Ma'at on Earth, responsible for maintaining cosmic balance through their actions and decisions. But what does any of this have to do with preserving bodies? Let's take a step back and look at death from an Egyptian perspective. When someone died, the Egyptians believed that the Ka did not immediately depart from the body. Instead, it temporarily remained with the deceased, causing the body to bloat and decay. This period was thought to last up to 72 days. Eventually, the Ka would move on, leaving the body completely empty. This journey of the Ka was fraught with challenges, especially in the underworld, where the deceased had to navigate perilous paths and face terrifying creatures. This is where the Book of the Dead came into play. This collection of funerary texts included spells and incantations, intended to guide the deceased through the underworld and ensure their successful arrival in the afterlife. One of the most famous scenes from the Book of the Dead is the weighing of the heart. Here, the deceased's heart was placed on one side of a scale and the feather of Ma'at on the other. The heart, representing the individual's life and actions, was judged for its quality and balance. If it was found wanting, it was devoured by the goddess Ammit, ensuring the destruction of the soul. However, if the heart was deemed pure and balanced, the individual was granted access to the field of reeds, a blissful afterlife associated with the sun god. The importance of balance in this ceremony reflects the broader Egyptian belief that the world was fundamentally harmonious. Even in death, the deceased were expected to conform to this cosmic order. The entire ritual was designed to maintain the equilibrium of the universe, just as the Egyptians had strived to do during their lives. This is where the preservation of the body comes in. Mummification was more than just a means of preventing decay. It was a way of keeping the Ka within the physical form, allowing it to nourish and sustain the deceased, until it was time for it to embark on its final journey. By preserving the body, the Egyptians ensured that the Ka could remain connected to the physical world and the memories of those who loved it. When we think about it, the idea of the Ka is actually quite similar to our modern conception of the soul. It represents the intangible essence of a person, their unique identity and consciousness that sets them apart. Similarly, the emphasis on balance and order in Egyptian beliefs can be seen as a precursor to our contemporary understanding of mental health and well-being. In a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable, the pursuit of inner peace and equilibrium remains a timeless goal, something we can all relate to regardless of our cultural background. In today's world, we often compartmentalize our beliefs and practices, separating religion from science and spirituality from everyday life. However, The ancient Egyptians provide a compelling example of a society that integrated their religious beliefs seamlessly into every aspect of their lives. They saw divinity in the natural world around them and strived to live in harmony with the cosmos, believing that doing so brought balance not only to their own lives, but to the universe as a whole. This holistic approach to life can serve as a reminder for us today to reconnect with the natural world and the spiritual aspects of our existence, recognizing that we are not separate from nature, but rather an integral part of it. Now let's talk about pyramids. What's the connection between these massive structures and the Egyptian beliefs about the soul and the afterlife? Well, to answer that question, we need to dive into another fascinating aspect of Egyptian culture: the Book of the Dead. As mentioned before, this wasn't a single book, but a collection of funerary texts that acted as a guide for the deceased on their journey through the underworld. One of the key elements of the Book of the Dead was the idea of the pyramid as a dwelling place for the deceased SK. The pyramid, with its 4 sides and sloping walls, was seen as a symbolic representation of the sun's rays converging on all sides to nourish and protect the dead. This interpretation is supported by various texts that refer to the pyramid as a place of safety and eternity. For example, one passage from the Book of the Dead describes the pyramid as a place where the Kia can dwell forever in peace and happiness. The construction of a pyramid was therefore not just an engineering marvel, but a deeply spiritual endeavor. Every stone carefully placed reflected a desire to create a stable and everlasting home for the deceased Eska. The precision and grandeur of these structures were meant to ensure that the deceased would be comfortable and cared for in the afterlife. This connection between the pyramid and the afterlife is also evident in the rituals surrounding the burial process. During the encasement of the mummy, the coffin was often placed at the center of the burial chamber, symbolizing the deceased's journey towards the center of the pyramid and ultimately towards the sun. This was because the Egyptians believed that the pyramid symbolized the primordial mound from which the world was created, and the deceased pharaoh was symbolically returning to this source of creation upon death. This idea is further reinforced by the fact that the burial chambers of many pyramids were decorated with images and texts from the Book of the Dead, serving as a constant reminder of the deceased's journey through the underworld. These depictions often included scenes of the deceased being welcomed by deities and led safely through the afterlife. Overall, the ancient Egyptians held a profound belief in the interconnectedness of the physical and spiritual realms. It's evident in their view of the pyramid as a structure that transcended the boundaries of life and death. The pyramid served not only as a monumental tribute to the deceased pharaoh, but as a tangible representation of their journey towards the afterlife. So what can we learn from the ancient Egyptians today? Perhaps it's the realization that the human experience is far more complex and multifaceted than we often allow ourselves to believe. Life, death, the soul, the universe, these are not separate domains, but intertwined aspects of a single reality. The Egyptians help us see that death is not an end, but a transition, a moment when the physical body is left behind. But the essence of a person continues on a different plane. This perspective challenges our own mortality-focused culture and encourages us to think beyond the confines of our physical existence. By understanding the Egyptian concept of the Ka, we are reminded of the importance of preserving not only the physical body, but also the stories and memories of those who have passed on. Mummification was more than just a method of delaying decay. It was a way of honoring and respecting the deceased, ensuring that their essence would be remembered and cared for by future generations. This practice serves as a powerful symbol of the deep emotional and spiritual connections we form with others, and the significance of cherishing and preserving those connections throughout our lives. As we continue to explore the mysteries of the ancient world, let us not forget the profound insights they offer into the human condition. The ancient Egyptians, with their intricate beliefs and practices, provide a rich tapestry of wisdom that can guide and inspire us as we navigate the complexities of life and death. Now, a quick note about the visuals used in this video. Some of the images you've seen are likely to be AI generated and should be taken as artistic interpretations rather than literal representations of ancient Egyptian beliefs or historical figures. Remember, history is filled with mysteries, and there's always room for different perspectives and interpretations. Thank you for watching, and let us know your thoughts and ideas in the comments below. Until next time.